Well, hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens. This is part 2 of a 2-part recap. Enjoy the show.
So she's like, well, Tonka did a lot of movies because, Tonka's the Tonka. Tonka's no Crystal. You know what I mean? Tonka did a lot of movies. Sorry, Connor. Sorry, greeting card ape. Got it a little insecure. Hey, Connor, guess what? People are still sending each other all the time instead of e-greetings. Cards. Don't worry, you're still in fashion, Connor. Loser. Loser, Connor.
He really still believes in legacy media. Although the only legacy around here, though, I think we all agree is Connie. Am I right?
Well, Tonka did a lot of movies like George of the Jungle, Babe, Pig in the City, not a greeting card. Sorry, Con. Yeah, he's pretty famous. And then she's standing up against Tonka's cage, and they're like leaning up against each other. I mean, they're so cute. I love Tonka. I can see why people fall in love with Tonka. He's like so cute and handsome.
It does seem like they have a bond. I mean, what's so interesting about this documentary is that really, again, these chimps should not be in these cages, in these conditions. This is just not humane. Which is, by the way, it's such a funny word when we talk about like how we treat it. Like this animal is not being treated right. It's not humane. It's funny to have it like human sort of being in the root of that word. But like at the same time, where it's so interesting is that like you do feel like her love is pure for this monkey, and you do feel like Tonka does feel a certain way for her, and so you're like, well, you don't want to get in the way of that, but also this animal needs to have better conditions. It just does.
Well, one of the things I find super interesting about all this is watching it. You know, they're in these cages that look like a prison. And watching them go all crazy in the cage, you're like, well, that's not good. But then that's how chimps are. And they can't just be walking around the humans because they're dangerous like that. And so if you think, okay, well, it's like a zoo, right? So they would be kind of in those cages in the zoo. So is that humane? Because they're still zoos. But then there are people who say, no, zoos are not humane.
Right.
And then there are people who are like, well, it's not. We're looking at it through a human lens where you're looking at that and thinking that looks like a prison, where to a chimp, it's just like their house that they can see through.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have enough knowledge to say what's inhumane or not. I mean, I know you wouldn't look at a dog and be like, oh my God, that dog doesn't get to have a job. I mean, that's inhumane. He just sits in the house all day. So I don't know. I'm not trying to lighten what it is, because you do see that it's inhumane, and like just the way that they can't move around freely and they're always in a cage. Like they need to have somewhere that they can run around. But it's an interesting thing that the documentary is bringing up, because like you said, you can see that these people actually do love the animals. They're not just like,
they're not like just there to abuse them and like,
right. They're not like outwardly abusing. Like you could say their living conditions and stuff like that are abuse, but they don't seem like abusive monsters. They seem like loving people who this all kind of spun out of their control.
Right. And I think that's actually at a point later on, like the lawyer for PETA says, like, it just seems like this is someone who really likes monkeys, but doesn't really know how to take care of them. And so, and we do see, by the way, that like there is some sort of like outdoor-ish. There's like a big sort of space where it looks like the monkeys can climb around and jump around. They don't really highlight that on the documentary, which I think is fascinating. They really only show the monkeys in extreme confinement, which does not, that outdoor space, that caged and outdoor space does not make it any better. But yeah,
well, it does actually. Yeah, I mean, it does.
But it doesn't make the confinement of the cages any better. But yeah, I think that ultimately, yeah, there's a lot of, people. Zoos are actually a very fraught subject, because there are some people who really feel like, no, zoos are terrible. And there are some people who say they're actually bastions of conservation. And like, that's a debate I don't know enough about to even really weigh in on. But what I will say is that I think a zoo, a proper zoo, like a good zoo, is going to be better than Connie's compound.
Yeah, actually, compound.
The best one was that sanctuary that they showed some aerial shots of. It was like the monkeys on like a little island, and they have a big toy in the middle, and that looks like a dream for if you're going to be in captivity. That looks like the best way to be in captivity.
Yeah. Okay. So Tanya's like, yeah, they all
5 stars on Yelp for me.
Yeah, gets a good review from you on the Yelpy. So she's like, yeah, they gravitate towards me because they feel secure, and I'm just going to go ahead and credit the eyelashes, They come around me and they'll occasionally ask me to sing 9 to 5 or something. I said, stop.
I'm the second mom. Connie's the first mom, but like she's the kind of mom that just, says, pass me the remote, Pat Sajak's coming on. I've got my private time. So Tanya's like, I beg her, please, let's write a book. Let's get your legacy down. You have a legacy. Let's write it down, okay? But she's very closed. And slowly but surely, I found out a lot about Connie from the chimps. She got her first chimp in 1972. His name was Coco. He was wild caught from Africa. And then we see Connie in 2018, when she still had a nice relationship with the media, was talking about Coco and how she would sit in a circle with Coco, and he would eat little peanuts and raisins out of their mouths, etc., and was like very gentle.
And then she kept showing pictures. She'd be like, yeah, we'd have a raisin in her mouth, or a peanut, or a fingernail, something like that. And then they'd just take it. Coco would take it right out of our mouth with Coco's mouth. And then they cut to all these pictures of a dude like twisting his face, and then the monkey just
was that like with the
open mouthing him? I was like, you're making it. Like, this is disturbing. This is disturbing me, Connie. Okay, can we find other ways to love our monkeys? So then Tanya's like, well, Coco and Bridget, okay, because then they got Bridget. So then they had their first baby, Bo, and then they just started having babies all over the place. And, as chimps get a little older, they become a little harder to handle, which is a little different than children. Children get over and you say, get the fuck out of this trailer if you're going to keep eating peanut butter crackers, you little bitch. Right? Never liked you anyway. Would it have killed you to take one ballet class? But, chimps are different because they get older. They get a little harder to handle. So people would contact Connie and they'd say, oh, hey, I've got this chimp. Which is a nice way of saying it because, sometimes they'd call and be like, get this fucking thing off of me. It's different calls. But, generally they'd just ask Connie to come pick them up.
Yeah. Chimps, when they get a little older, they're not as cute. They're harder to handle. And so you just call up someone and say, can you take care of this? Can you take this off my hands? Same thing happened to Wesley from Mr. Belvedere, I hear. Anyway, so Connie's like, well, little did I know that years later I'd have a house full of chimps. And so then we see a chimp running around in a onesie around a house. And then we see this lady named Angela Scott. And she's like, I first started working with Connie in 2001. It was very surreal. And immediately I was in love. And I just knew that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to work there. Connie was breeding and selling chimps as pets. And every year they would keep one. And that's what they would use for commercials and movies. God, what a rush it was. Was this the lady who was...
then they'd keep... Yeah. And then they would just keep one. And their family just kept growing. I know of at least 4 generations, if not 5 generations, of Connie's chimps in Hollywood. Legacies. So then she talks about her, Connie marrying Mike Casey. And Mike Casey was a total stage mom husband who's just like, oh, you think you got something stage mom here? Let's make it an industry. So he came in really ready to agent these kids, dadager these kids. And he came up with the idea to do all the Hollywood stuff and the chimp party chimps. Chimp party chimp.
Yes.
Era. He ushered in the chimp party chimp era.
So we see lots of news clips, and we see there's a girl named Brittany Staub who had a 12th birthday party with a chimp. I just love the idea of Brittany Staub and thinking was this someone related to Danielle Staub? Did Danielle Staub once attend a birthday party where there was a chimp? Was she traumatized by the chimp? That chimp, it put its hand on my hair. So I don't know.
Pay attention, please.
So Angela's talking about how
her name was never even Danielle Staub's. She just always remembers that 12th birthday party.
I know.
She's like, I always wanted to be Brittany. Brittany with the chip in her party. What did I have in my party? Nothing. Did I even have a party? No.
This is how Danielle chose her new name, Danielle Staub, because I don't even remember what her old name was, but was it Stephanie?
Beverly, yeah.
So Angela's talking about how they made a lot of money with it. And because of those parties, which is what allowed them to build the big enclosures. And then we see Connie saying that she was hoping that this could be a sanctuary for chimps, etc. And so we see just archival footage of them building the area that was the big outdoor area that chimps could run around and swing on things and stuff.
So then the next scene is Tonya at the foundation, and she's going through cards. She's like, these are Hallmark cards or American Greetings cards that Connor did. Connor, look at you, cards. Look how impressed everybody is. Hey, Connor, only 95% of the people said, what's a card? Don't worry. The other 5% super impressed, Con.
Now, here's the fun thing, okay? If you get a Hallmark card, you just look on the back like this. Oh, this is American Greetings. Hold on. So we're just going to rummage through this. Here's a good one. Okay, look at the back of this one. Oh, God, another fucking American Greetings. Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I know on camera. Okay, hold on.
Look at the back of this card. It says, fuck you. Fuck you. Hey, it's Happy Mother's Day. Fuck you. Wish I never had you. Love, Tanya. Oh, that was the one Connor, remember that's the one we wrote to my daughter. I couldn't find her address. All right, just keep going through the box.
Another fucking American Greetings one. Okay, all right. Here's one. Okay, here's one that says, Dear daughter, thanks so much for the little plate of peanut butter you gave me for Mother's Day. It really, really meant a lot to me. By the way, I did everything for you, and what did you give me in return? Okay, another American Greetings. God, I really love this brand.
Here it is. If you find this American greeting, you turn it over and it says Chimp Party Chimp, Festus, Missouri. So you know it's one of our greeting cards. All right. And look at this one. It's a chimp as a stripper, Connor. And it says, this is the only male stripper I could afford. Happy birthday. Which is real funny, Con, because they even charge $300 an hour for you, Connor. And you got the personality of a pencil eraser. Am I right?
Look, you jump on a cake. It's like, well, actually, it's a present, but
I remember it being a cake. It's different how things work in your memory, isn't it?
Yeah. God. Oh, you know what? The cake was Brittany. That was Brittany Staub's birthday party of the cake. This was the present. It's clear now.
Yeah. It's just crazy because I just always remembered it that way. And then last year on my birthday, I tried to eat a present. I thought, where'd that come from? It's all coming full circle now.
You know, this is kind of funny, but I have been called the Dolly of greeting cards. This is really, it's amazing to be a Dolly in two different industries.
So she's like, well, snack-wise, they love licorice, they love marshmallows, and they love drinks. They love sugary drinks. I was like, okay, so you know what? Can we not inundate the chimps with the processed food? You know what I mean? Aren't we all suffering enough from this crap? Like, you're even doing it with the chimps. Like, we're already raising a bunch of monsters, and I think it's because of the shit that they're feeding them in the schools and stuff, in the McDonald's, etc. You know, and now we're doing this to the kids.
Like, I wonder how Tonka became a sick chimp. That's actually not a big chimp, just a very fat chimp. I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, I wonder how Tonka's having strokes. Yes.
I know.
Jeez. Go to the produce section. Listen, next time you're in the grocery store, shop on the outer aisles, guys, okay? Do I need to sign you up for Netflix food documentaries? Okay. So Tanya's talking about the facility, how they used to have 42 chimps in this place, which is crazy, but then things started going bad. Dun, 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 dun. And we cut to Kirby the chimp, and a voiceover is like, I thought James Dean or Leonardo DiCaprio just entered the room. Women falling all over trying to get to Kirby, James Dean riding a motorcycle, Leonardo DiCaprio dating teenagers. It was crazy.
So, and then we see footage of like this like a kid's party, and there's like this chimp that like sort of grabs a toddler's foot like slightly, aggressively, but like, you know, just like it's being playful, but it's like doesn't know its own strength. And I was like, oh. So then we see Mike Casey, and he's like, he's telling a reporter like, I don't think Kirby meant any harm. Like, we never had any problems with Kirby. He's a great little chimp, no problems whatsoever. But as we're looking at Mike, it's clear like his nose is fucked up. Like it looks like it's a Voldemort situation, and something's been put onto his face. You're like, something is not right here with Mike.
Mike comes on screen, and you go, "Where's your fucking nose?"
It's wild.
Like, literally, you're like, "What the hell?" And Mike's like, "Oh, you know, monkeys. What are you gonna do? I mean, yeah, that's who they are. At the end of the day, you can't get mad at them. That's how they are." So then it cuts to Angela, the blonde lady, and she's like, "I heard a story about a chimp named Bo. Mike went into Bo's cage, and in the blink of an eye, Bo ran up, bit his nose off, completely off his face. Connie actually had to go in there and pick the nose up and take it. So a couple years later, Bo had died, and I asked how, and they said of natural causes, but he was young. And I mean, this is the first really dark turn that the story takes, where this guy is just like standing up for the chimps, even though he had lost his nose to the chimps, and they put the nose back on the guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
He died of natural causes, because
Now this is. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead. Matt.
natural causes, like, because a chimp naturally gutted him, bit off his genitalia and his eyeballs in his face. Happened.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, they're saying the chimp died of natural causes, which
The chimp died?
obviously.
I thought it was that.
Bo.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense. I was like, wow.
No, the guy who died was the guy who got his nose taken off is this guy.
Yeah,
Mike
you're right. No, I
Casey.
mixed up the names. I was like, wow, what a cover up.
Yeah. No. Bo was out of control, so I guess they put Bo down or whatever, but they won't just say that, right?
Right.
So then Peter, the journalist, is telling us he's seen a lot. As his years as a journalist, disasters, wars, murders, but nothing prepared me for walking into Connie Casey's compound and seeing a ghastly prison. And it was like a puppy mill, and it was terrible. So now we move into the kind of dark stuff of all of this.
Yeah. And basically, so Angela tells us that they turned Chimp Party into a nonprofit, and
Try and save that reputation, because after the stuff that started going sour, they were like, okay, how do we change this? We're going to change this into a chimp sanctuary. That's right. It's a chimp sanctuary. And you know what brings them peace? Occasionally doing a child's birthday party.
yeah, Brittany Staub loves coming to the sanctuary. So, but then Angela's like, yeah, I didn't like this. So I called PETA. So now we go over to
Yeah, she's like, I love these. Because she volunteered there all the time, and she was talking to these monkeys. Like, she'd sit there and like have these relationships basically with these monkeys, and they were in jail. And she would tell them every day, like, you're not going to be here anymore one day. So I called PETA. Da-na-na-na-na.
So then we go over to Jared Goodman, who's the general counsel of PETA. He sort of has like a Pete Buttigieg vibe,
Enter Jared Goodman. Oh my God, this fucking guy. He's like Dockers. He is very Pete Buttigieg. He's very Dockers, and
Dry.
his ass will be like, hi there, I'm a different kind of HOA. We're a different kind. We don't believe in torturing you. I mean, what do we care? I mean, get your lawn. I'm sorry, did you get our note? Did you get our note that we left on your car? Get your lawn taken care of before we have to do it for you. We will do it. It's not going to be cheap, but we're happy to help you, neighbor.
Yeah, he is. To me, he's like Pete Buttigieg only because he's like very dry. He's dry and sort of looks like him. But his whole thing, his fatal flaw is that he is very condescending, and which is funny because he's actually seems to be in the right in this story, but he's kind of like the villain, which is kind of fucked up. So he's
kind of the villain, but I have to say I'm really surprised that they made PETA so likable in the story, because I feel like every time we see PETA in pop culture, it's in some horrible light. It's like just going so far, because they go so far to get their point across or whatever. But it's never like, look at a great thing that PETA did. I feel like it's always something terrible the way that they show PETA. And this one, they're kind of killing it with this guy, Jared Goodman, because he's like such a smart ass, and he's also completely in control. He's not crazy at all. Like I imagine PETA people, just the way they're portrayed, to be kind of off the wall and kooky and like really extreme. And he's not at all. He's actually very reasonable, and just like everyone around me is an idiot.
He's very unflappable.
Yes.
And so, which is funny because he's really, in this case, like he's really standing up for, or the organization is like doing the right thing by these chimps. But because we're sort of like the documentary seems to be really from the POV of Tanya, it sort of puts him in the role of villain, even though he's really, honestly, like in the right here.
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial.
So he's just talking about PETA and everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Alan Cummings, which I was not expecting. And he's like, PETA's got very good, very potent and very eye-catching campaigns. And of course, showing people that activism brings results. Like any great successful organization, they're very polarizing, like murder. But if your job is to get people's attention, to make changes about the issues that you feel need to be changed, by necessity, you're going to piss people off. Like with murder.
So, murder. So, who's a traitor? So, he is a huge part of this movie, which I was surprised. I had no idea either.
Yeah.
So, he is involved with PETA, and he talks about how in 1996 he did a film called Buddy, and it had chimps. And so he became friends with Tonka because Tonka was the star chimp, and he fell in love with Tonka, basically. And he said, in Scotland, we have a word for it called coothie. If an animal or a person is coothie, it means they're kind of, they kind of come to you like that, their personality as well as their physicality. Kind of, that's coothie. It's coothie. And Tonka was coothie. So basically, it's like when an animal is in love with you. It's like a flirty type of thing. And Tonka was very in love with him. And every time he came on the set, Tonka would be so excited to see him. He would just run and jump into his arms, and they fell in love.
To me, the real story here was that when they showed clips of this movie, it's like, yes, there was Tonka, but hello, there was also Renee Russo. Where is she in this documentary? She was like, no comment. No comment. I had a fraught relationship with Tonka. I don't want to discuss it. Can we get Renee Russo's thoughts on Buddy?
Renee Russo's at home watching this like, oh, great. Well, Tonka gets a second shot. Good for Tonka.
By the way,
all right.
Who cast this movie? I was like, okay, we're going to do a movie. Okay, what we want a chimp, Renee Russo, and I don't know, can we get a gay guy in there? Maybe Alan Cumming. Sure. Done. Greenlit. Go. Shoot it.
So he's like, and then after Tonka, I just figured I heard that he retired to Palm Springs. He's like, that's what I was told. And every time I would go to Palm Springs, because, Palm Springs for gay guys and old people. And then every time I would go there, I'd see the gays, I'd see the olds, and I'd look around for Tonka. Like, where's Tonka? Which is funny. And he never bumped into Tonka.
It's also a good reminder that actors sometimes are not the brightest people. Well, I thought they put Tonka in a blazing hot desert environment and that he'd be walking the streets of Palm Springs. It's like, no.
So then he found out that he'd done a campaign with PETA, and they told him that they found a place in Missouri where chimps are being kept in very poor, terrible conditions. And one of those chimps was Tonka. And they showed a picture of Tonka, and he was in the cage, and he was looking very sad. And so he teamed up with PETA to, save Tonka or to help Tonka.
Yeah. So then we go back to Angela, the whistleblower, who's also in this documentary wearing big black stockings, or are they like leg warmers or tights or something like that? She's wearing them, and she's like, "Well, I knew that PETA was going to go after Connie and her chimps, so I felt like this is an opportunity to do what I've always wanted to do, which was go undercover in my own cool chick lit movie." So PETA gave me these glasses that had a camera in them, and they just said, get as much footage as you can. So in my mind, I kept telling myself, you're betraying someone you love, but you gotta go, but you know what's gonna happen after this goes public. So she basically goes back to Connie wearing spy glasses, and I would have loved to have seen an image, because this is like, they probably were like enormous. And on top of that, like looking at her footage, I can only imagine how crazy she looked, because her footage is so shaky and it's constantly going like left and right and up and down. Like I can only imagine how like nervous she was in this situation that she's being caught. That she was like, her head is just going in all different directions while people are talking to her. Like, Angela, are you okay? Are you okay?
Angela, why are you wearing a mustache?
Angela, why do you keep moving that flower in your lapel closer to my mouth?
Angela, why are you carrying a bush to hide behind? So weird.
Angela,
I'm not me. I'm a bush with a mustache. What are you talking about?
Why do you keep moving your head in circles? No, it's just yoga, just doing some yoga stretches.
So Jared is like, well, and then we found out that chimpanzees were being held in prisons, throwing poop at each other. They had nothing in there. It was barren, and it was frankly unlawful. So in 2017, we decided to proceed with a lawsuit alleging that these conditions in which the chimpanzees were held constituted a violation of the Endangered Species Act. And we're supposed to hate him, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, get him a better place to stay.
Yeah.
I'm on your side. Can't believe this whole thing is shocking to me.
Yeah. And Alan Cummings is like, look, it wasn't like we want to take the chimps away. We just said like, just improve their conditions. So Tanya goes, well, that's their motif, which is like not even close to the right. That's their motif. And I could tell you verbatim how they handle a case, and every case is cookie cutter. That's my terminology. Okay. You know what else is my terminology? Motif. So they use the same forms.
I came up with cookie cutter. Came up with that.
That's my motif.
Before I came up with cookie cutters, you should have seen cookies. They were literally the shape of anything. It was just like you just throw something at a wall, and that's the splat. You see the splat? That's what shape cookies used to be in. But, not. I came up with cookie cutters, changed everything.
Some would say it's their motive, but I think it's actually their motif. And so they just want you to run out of money and get your animals from you. And then so then I started working at Connie's approximately 6 months after PETA filed that lawsuit. And we see now, Tanya is like cleaning up or doing her version of cleaning up the place.
Right. So Tanya's doing the whole like they're trying to take our theater. Let's have a show.
Yes.
Like to raise money or whatever to do it. She's going to take her money and she's going to fix every problem that was on this PETA lawsuit. The problem is the main issue on the lawsuit is that these monkeys are being held in terrible conditions in these big cages. And I guess my main question at this point in the show is why? Why are you keeping them? You don't need the chimps for anything.
Right.
You're not using them for business. They're unusable business wise. Now it's kind of like this old repository of old chimps who are just sitting there with nothing to do day in and day out, leading no kind of a life. So what's the point of keeping them all? Why wouldn't they want them to go to a sanctuary?
Right. Because they have a warped relationship. They think that they're not just like, oh, these are just chimps that we've saved. These are like their kids. Because Tanya literally says right here, she's like, well, Connie was very anxious to spend all this money to keep her babies. I said, don't worry about it. They're your kids. How can they take your kids? I mean, this is America. The judicial system will protect us because we haven't done anything wrong. The judicial system always protects kids. In fact, everyone knows the judicial system protects kids first in America.
Yeah, well, kids in America protected. I think everybody would agree.
So guess
All
what?
right,
I started
America.
fixing things up. So she's, Connie used to get donated old produce, like just like crap from Walmart, but now I buy the crap from Walmart. They get fresh veggies, sugar snap peas, zucchini squash, Pringles, Jolly Ranchers, Quick. They love Quick. Strawberry and chocolate is their favorite. Fresh shit like that.
Well, actually, this lawsuit actually got them feeding them healthy, which I think is funny. It's like, actually, PETA's kind of doing a good thing, which are getting you guys to do actual healthy things. Like maybe this works, but it's like threaten people and then suddenly they're getting sugar snap peas instead of instead of chocolate milk,
Yeah. But then at the same time, like, it's like not that much longer that we then see her like taking some sort of like Reese's peanut butter like whipped cream and just like just filling it into one of the monkeys' mouths. So I'm like, I don't know how long this lasted.
Well, at this part, I was happy for Tanya because I'm like, okay, look, she's making an effort.
I agree.
Maybe
I was
she's
like,
going to
oh,
save
cool.
these old monkeys after all, And then it cuts to Jared and he's like, well, Tanya Haddix would regularly post improvements that they were making to the facility on her Facebook page. Things like putting up a new hammock. Cute. Cute, Tanya. And I was like, oh, geez, Jared's a bitch, So at this part, then I was like, hey, I liked PETA for a second. Now Jared's being a little bitch.
I know. I was like, look, she
And
painted
so
it green. She painted the floor green.
Yeah. I started becoming on her side. And she's like, well, if I had started guesstimating how much I'd spent on this, I would say it's about 9 chimps, which is $500,000. It's about 500. And then it cuts to Jared and he goes, they spent nothing even approaching the amount of money that she said she spent. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because it is kind of funny because they're like, okay, we need these chimps to live in a better environment. So one of those cages, she like painted it like a green hillside with like stick figures like playing in the sunshine. And I was like, well, that's cute sort of mural, I guess. I don't think it really helps anything for the chimp. The chimp is still in like a small space.
Yeah. And so she goes off about PETA and she's like, well, PETA never came out to see the improvements. They never saw the quality of life with this chimp. They didn't see the new costumes. I mean, for a whole week, these chimps were doing Jailhouse Rock. You think that was easy to choreograph? It wasn't. Did they ever see it? They did not. I friended Jared on Facebook. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So she's like, the thing is, the chimps is they're going to be your friend for life, especially Tonka. You know who's not your friend for life? Literally any daughter you may ever have. Okay, Tonka was 38 years old when he was my best friend. And them chimps just suck you in. They just suck you in so quick. I mean, sometimes they just actually grab you by your ears and pull you into them. And you go, Tonka, no, stop pulling me in. And you got to take some PVC and poke them a little bit. But God, I love them.
And Jared's like, so eventually Tanya just said, listen, I said to Connie, sign him over to me. I'll take the grunt of the lawsuit. Okay. You don't want to deal with this stress. I'll deal with it. So then Jared's like, there's no apparent reason for Tanya to have taken ownership except to get the heat off of Connie. Well, that's just not how that's going to work, is it? It's like, oh man, I would not want to be on Jared's bad side. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I would just give him the monkeys. I mean, if you want me to do anything, literally just sick Jared on me. I'll be like, take whatever you want. Seriously, you want me to exercise every day? Threaten me with Jared's like judgment. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I wonder if indeed this was the case where PETA was like, look, we don't want you to lose your chimpanzees, but we want you to improve their conditions. Does PETA offer guidance onto what you should do, what improvements need to be made? Here's some recommendations.
Yeah, they gave the list of all the things that were wrong. So that's why she's trying to work from the list of everything that's wrong to fix everything on that list. But he's like, I mean, kind of the main thing is living conditions. So unless you're going to change the whole setup that you have for these, it's not going to work, It's not painting. No one said, you know what these chimps need? Murals.
Well, I thought that was my recommendation. So now she's with the cages and she's like, okay, so I'm going to try to clean this cage. So I need to lock him out of the cage, but I'm going to lock this door, but I got to lock that door also because he's strong. And, oh, well, he just escaped. Well, just chimps will do what chimps will do.
And this is another moment because it's just getting you to feel warm again. Like, oh, look at her, putting all this work in to keep the monkey, to keep the chimps. But then to see the maximum security of oh my God, well, it has to get into that one. So I need to lead it into that one. Because if it gets into this, never do it. You're fucked if these things get out, It's like, this is kind of scary.
It's really scary.
This is scary. So then we move to, Carrie. Look at Carrie. That's the one who escaped right here on the highway outside Festus. And then we see news clips of this guy. This is totally me as a chimp. So they're like, well, after Tanya, or Jared's telling us, well, after Tanya became the legal owner of the chimps, there were issues still arising because she's not qualified to care for chimps. She does not have formal training. She's simply someone that likes chimpanzees.
And then we see Tanya in the pink chimp cage room, and she's like, okay, everyone, okay, here is a hack, okay? This is for everyone, okay? Pay attention. I have a rule of thumb. I never walk away from a cage unless I got a lock on it, because period, end of story. Because you know what? It'd be so easy to get called away, and then the locks be off, and there's no safeties on the doors, and then you have loose chimps. So if you don't want to have loose chimps, lock the cage. It's that simple.
That's my motif.
It's my motif.
Locks.
It's
my motif.
Okay, here's a way to remember to lock the cage. If you walk away and you haven't locked it, go back and lock it. That way it's always locked. Okay, that's all you have to do.
So then we see news footage of chimps escaping. And it was all due to, guess what, locks. Told you so. Told you so, past. I told you. God, I wish they'd had me in the past. I'd have told them. Locks.
Jared's like, remarkably, Tanya Haddix's response was that PETA might have sent someone there to unlock the cages. That's how delusional she is. Tanya's deadline to have all these improvements completed came and went. She never formally presented any of the changes that she made to the Festus facility. It simply didn't happen. So we filed several motions to transfer all 7 chimpanzees to an accredited sanctuary. So he's basically like, she lost 2 chimps over the course of this case. So we're like, okay, it's time to move them to a sanctuary.
And one of them, it's not here, but one of them was this chimp who is this where the scene was where they showed the chimp that got out and he got out of the car? Oh no, this is later. This is the chimp from episode 2 I'm thinking of, where they showed the chimp in traffic slapping people's butts. And they're like, that's hilarious. Okay, so that's in episode 2. So then Alan Cummings like, this lady had her chance and she blew it. Right. So now we're at the courthouse and she's stressing out. You know, she's been up all night with the attorney and she's just doing the court talk outside. You know, we're up all night. They worked all hours. We'll put motions in this morning. Best case scenario, they can't take my chimps. Worst case scenario, they take my chimps. Worst case scenario, they take my chimps and give me my daughter back.
So now 2 hours later, PETA basically wins. And Jared is saying, like, well, the judge found Tanya Haddox in civil contempt and ultimately ordering that all 7 of the chimpanzees be transferred to accredited sanctuaries. And she's like, I love the chimps more than anything. I mean, more than anything. I mean, daughter who? Am I right? I mean, guess who's not getting peanut butter as a Mother's Day gift? Me from the chimps. So more than my own kids, more than anything. Okay. I'm literally telling you this on camera. I love the chimps more than my kids.
Yeah, she literally says that. She's like, I love them more than my kids, you know? I mean, one kid threw a peanut butter cracker in my head. The chimps throw poop in my head, but at least it's something they put some effort into. You know what I mean? They made that. They made it. So, yeah, I feel real bad. I mean, like this, you're feeling for her. I'm feeling for her. And she's like, I'm going to give it up to the fat lady things. Oh, God, there he is. There's that little fucker now. She sees Jared on the other side of the steps talking to reporters. And he's like, well, we are going to present the Marshal Service and they will make a safe transfer of the monkeys. And she's like, that little fucker, fucking Jared, motherfucker.
So they're gonna confiscate the chimps and everything, and like Tanya and Connie are not allowed to be on the property, and there's gonna be no cameras allowed or anything like that. So Tanya's talking about it. Yeah,
we have this real sad scene of her prepping the chimps, and they're gonna give them the chimps. You know, and she goes to get them their favorite thing. She fuck snap peas. I got them Happy Meals. Yeah. That's what they really like. They just want some Happy Meals. And we're just going to spend as much time with them as we can. And so they do this whole thing, feeding the chimps the Happy Meals in jail. And
wait, can I say something about the state of Happy Meals in America? Seeing those Happy Meal boxes, these kids in America are really being deprived. I feel like when we were kids, Happy Meal boxes had all sorts of drawings on them and mazes and puzzles, and you could do all sorts of cool things on them. And now they're just red boxes with a McDonald's logo on them. What's happened to these poor Happy Meals?
Now they're just one giant QR code. They're like, scan this if you want a game.
It's true. It's not fair.
Actually, I went to McDonald's a couple times last week. And let me tell you what they're out of. Hello Kitty boxes. Whatever is happening, or those little kids are loving the Hello Kitty toys because they're out at every McDonald's. I was on a fries rampage all week last week, and I can't get the Hello Kitty stuff. So,
Kitty, huh?
Yeah. So goodbye, Kitty. No more Kitty.
Kitty.
Abandoned Kitty. Abandonment Kitty.
I was like, I don't have chimps anymore. Let me get some kitties. Couldn't find it at any McDonald's.
So the movie crew hooks up hidden cameras all over the place so they can, because they're not allowed to be on the property, but they want to see what's going on. So they've got hidden cameras everywhere. And we see Connie depressed as the guys show up to take the monkeys, and she's like just depressed as hell. And we don't get to see Connie a lot. So it's like, well, let's watch Connie walk from a window to an easy chair and sigh. You know, it's a sad moment. And as she sighs, it just sounds like this. Legacy.
She just sighs like, why did I never put a TV in here? God, I gotta go back into the main house to watch Pat.
Yeah. So then they have to dart the chimps, which sucks, like give them medicine. So they put them all out, and then they start carrying them out. And Angela has no regrets. They ask her, do you have regrets, Angela? She's like, I wish I'd done it sooner. That's all. 'Cause now they're going to be happy. And I'm with her because we do see footage of the sanctuary a lot as this is going on. And it does look like heaven, right? Like it looks so nice
for monkeys.
So it's like, I feel bad for Tanya and kind of Connie, even though we don't know her that well. But I kind of feel for Tanya because I've really grown to like her over this hour. But it does seem like the end. Like they're giving up. They're giving up. They're doing what they were told by the court. They're giving up all the chimps. We see the chimps leaving. Tanya's depressed, but we think she's going to make it. And then it cuts to Tanya all dressed up, like she's all gussied up, and she's walking into a casino, and she looks like she's just won, which is really weird. It's like that movie with Ocean's 12, Julia Roberts and all the guys, where it's like real fancy and they're walking through the casino all dressed up. And that's like, wow, Tanya's like got a really good attitude about this. And as she walks through the casino and all the nickel machines, she goes, this is my realm.
And we hear Jared says, the rescue went smoothly and Tanya Haddox didn't show up, but there was one major problem. There was a chimpanzee missing. And like, wait, did you bring the chimp to the casino? You see the chimp like running a roulette table. Okay, no more bets.
And then I started dying laughing. I was like, she kidnapped the chimp.
That was shocking. That was really shocking. And she's like, once I had chimps, there was no way I could do without one. And I'll do anything and everything to keep them kids. Not the real kids, of course. They're trash. I've got to take every chance I've got because you know what? We might get lucky.
And that's how episode 1 ended. I was dying. I was like a chimp watching it. I was like, oh. I was cheering. I was going crazy. I just did not see that coming. I thought, how are they going to make this 4 parts?
Yeah.
It seems like the whole thing is done. But
it was a good twist. But I was also like, there's no way that she could hide or take away a chimp. Like, I don't know how they could even do that. I was like, I this is wild.
Yeah.
So,
but they did it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, wild first episode. Thanks everyone for being here. So much fun talking about the show, and we have a full week of recaps. So you never know what's going to pop up next. So everyone, stick around, and we'll have new episodes coming up soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors. Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Strolling the park with Caitlin Clark.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas.
She's never scary. It's the Green Fairy.
Jamie, she has no last namey.
Hava Nagila Weber. Know your worth with Jason Kurth.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's always supplying. It's Kelly Ryan.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. We want to hang with Liz Lang. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
The Bay Area Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall. We got our wish, it's Jen Plish.
She's not harsh, she's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly, it's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender. The incredible edible Matthews sisters.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
Ring that bell for Rachel.
She's the queen bee, it's Sarah Lemke. Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.